Hi everybody, it's Julie and welcome to Hello Monday. Today I'm making this really modern birthday card design and I thought it would be fun to do some color blocking. And this was actually inspired by a dress I had seen on Pinterest. So I'm going to cut some strips of cardstock in the colors that mimic the dress that I had seen. And these are about 1 3/8 inch by 4 1/4. And then I'm going to put some adhesive all over the back of them and mount them to a piece of typing paper. And the typing paper is roughly the dimension of the front of my card. I just need a foundation to glue these strips onto so that I can stamp on them and trim them down to fit. So I'm just going to go ahead and trim off this excess typing paper there along that edge. And then I'll go ahead and make sure that the sides are trimmed up nice and flush because I didn't get them perfectly straightly mounted on there, but that's okay. I knew I could trim them down and get them perfectly straight. I'm going to use my adhesive eraser to get any, of those like adhesive boogers that are on there. Sometimes they cause things to stick where we don't want them, so it's a good idea to get them off. And then I'm going to prep the surface with my anti-static pouch. And I'm using the Circle Fusion background stamp by Impression Obsession, and I'm going to emboss it with clear embossing powder. So I'm using Versamark ink, and this is the way I like to use my background stamps. Just use that typing paper to keep my hands clean, and then I'll go ahead and grab it with my tweezers to make sure that I don't, looks like I had something sticking to that, to make sure I don't slip and slide and smear what I've stamped. And then we'll go ahead and coat that with some clear embossing powder. And I have this really big tub that it's probably going to take me till the end of time to use it all up, but and then I'm going to place this whole thing into a cardboard box lid, and this will keep that panel from sliding all over the place. Sometimes it's easier to do this than to try to hang on to it with tweezers. So I'm going to go ahead and heat emboss that and make sure all of that embossing powder is nice and shiny and glossy. And then on my base card, I'm going to go ahead and stamp the greeting, and I wanted to make sure I got it on there straight, and I have a habit of stamping things crooked, so I need some extra help. So I'm using my Stamp-A-Majig to help me get that aligned. And the first thing I need to do is to stamp it onto the image plate using the tool there. And then I'm going to go ahead and take my base card and line that up. I'm just going to use my grid because that helps me line things up and make sure that it's straight. And some washi tape will just kind of anchor it and keep it from sliding around, because a lot of times I will inadvertently shift something when I didn't mean to. So now I can take my image plate and put that where I want that stamp to show up and make sure that it is positioned straight. And then I'll bring the Stamp-A-Majig tool right back into place and bump it right back into that corner and remove the plate. And then I can ink up my stamp again and go ahead and stamp that right into place. I'm just going to flush into the corner and go straight down and make sure I've got a nice straight impression. And then it's time to mount that color blocked panel. So I'm going to use some of these really cool foam dots. These are the Cool Tack foam dots. And the one thing, okay, this is going to be silly, I'm sure, to everybody else, but to me, I love the fact that the little liner papers don't stick. I always had trouble with the ones by EK Success. They would stick to my tweezers from electrostatic forces, but it would take forever to get those little papers off my tweezers, and so these don't actually stick for some reason. So anyway, I just thought that was cool. And I'm going to go ahead and burnish that score line there at the top, and then I rotated my card upside down because I could see where I was mounting it along the top edge much better from my angle, upside down there, and then get that into place. So at this point, this was all I originally intended to do, and then I was like, that just looks kind of boring. I don't like it. It needs more. Every once in a while, a card will need more, so we're going to go that direction and take some of this really fun washi tape. This is the Shape and Tape by Lifestyle Crafts. I just love this stuff. I use it all the time, and it's amazing to me how much of the black. I really love using the black a lot, so I'm going to have to restock my supply because I just am using it on everything lately. So I'm going to go ahead and mount that to a piece of cardstock. This is just a scrap that was in my bin from some leftover. I'm sure I botched the card front, so I cut off the back to save it. And I needed a foundation because I wanted to pop up this pattern of washi tape. So I needed to put it onto some cardstock to give it some foundation so that I could then trim it down. And then I will put some more of those really fun foam adhesive dots which have the liner papers that don't stick to my tweezers. I'm going to put those on the back there and then go ahead and mount that into place. Now the card still looked unfinished to me, and I think it was because it just needed something to anchor that color blocked panel. So I decided to take a strip of black cardstock that was in my bin, and I'm going to go ahead and put some adhesive on the back of that. And then I will slip that right under my color blocked panel, because that panel was 3D mounted. So I have a little bit of a lip or an edge there, and I can just take this strip of cardstock and line it up underneath and mount it right there. So we'll get that into place. Just run my finger along it to make sure it's secured really well. And then we'll just flip that over and trim off the end with my scissors there. So almost done with this card. It's coming along, but then I wanted to do one more thing, and that's add some chevrons. And I have, these are all my wood veneers. This is how I like to store them and keep them organized. This is one of those like embroidery floss containers I picked up at the craft store. And I love that the compartments actually are not adjustable. They are permanently in place there, so you don't have to worry about things sliding underneath the little dividers. And then I'm going to take a Post-it note. This has adhesive. This is one of those Post-it notes that has adhesive all over the place on it. And I'm going to go ahead and put all my little chevron wood veneers there. These are by Studio Calico. They're so much fun, and there's so many in the package. And I'm just going to tint them very quickly with my Copic marker. Now, one thing I didn't do is I forgot to let them dry completely, so I kind of end up getting a little bit of black Copic marker on my fingers, but that's okay. I was very careful not to get any on my card. So I'm going to go ahead and use some glossy accents to glue those into place. And I've got some of the chunkier ones and then some of the narrower ones. And I just thought it made a really cute accent right there. It just kind of tied that whole theme in together. It was very modern and kept all the elements just looking very nicely cohesive. And there you can see the embossing and these fun little chevron wood veneers and the washi tape. And I just think it's a really fun birthday card. Thanks for watching.